Welcome everyone to Plutus IS. Today we are here with yet another topic for the Geography Optional, and I'll be discussing some of the concepts of Geography Optional. I hope that you have seen my previous lectures which I've dropped on the certain concepts. So the first concept that I'm going to take for today is the forces. So this forces is very important part of the Geography Optional. I talk about two type of forces, which is endogenetic and exogenetic. What is endogenetic? Endogenetic is inside. Endo means inside and exogenetic means outside. So inside means what? Endogenetic. So forces which are coming from the inside of the earth are known as endogenetic. Where is the basis of this source? So the source basis comes from the inside. When I talk about inside, that means beneath the crust. So beneath the crust means there are a lot of convectional layer. There is a radioactive elements which are inside the earth, and when these radioactive elements get heated up, they rise up. And when they rise up, they create some pressure from inside the earth. If I call this as a crust, so inside earth will be what? Mantle. The next layer of the earth is mantle, in which lot of rocks particle, or I can say radioactive elements, because of the high heat and pressure, will get heated up. And when they get heated up, it rises up above and creates a kind of a pressure which almost results in what? The release of this in the form of lava. So when the lava which is coming outside, where is the source of that? It is from the inside of the crust, or beneath the crust, which we call it as the next layer of the crust, which is mantle, from where it is emerging out. So you have a magma chamber beneath the crust. There is a magma chamber. So here you have a magma chamber from which magma is coming out, and when this magma is coming out, it is known as what? It is known as lava. So it erupts abruptly. It erupts abruptly. Now you would have seen some of the explosion, or you have seen some of the explosive activity which has been done very rapidly, very abruptly. So that also depends upon another factor which we'll discuss in this concept only. But first we need to understand what kind of endogenetic forces that one can have. See, endogenetic forces also depend upon two parts. Okay, one could be your forces which are coming from inside, that's why it means endo, and also this eruption could be sudden or it could be slow. So we have defined both the processes, sudden and slow. So this endogenetic can be divided into a sudden process, for example your volcanic eruptions, that we categorize into sudden process. It's a sudden activity. Similarly, your earthquakes, that is also sudden. But what about the slow processes? Slow processes means when the mountains are being built. This is known as orogenic activity. So when the orogenic activity is taking place, it takes millions of years for the formation. The best example of it is mountain building. Also we call this slow process as diastrophism. This is known as diastrophism. So one needs to understand that endogenetic forces can be divided into two types. One is sudden in which volcanic activity comes or earthquake can come. In the slow process, we defined orogenic activity, which is mountain building process. Now, the sudden process can be volcanic eruptions, as we have discussed. Now, we can have the two types of volcanic eruptions happening. Sometimes we see that volcanic eruption is so abrupt that it causes too much of calamity around, but sometimes it's very slow. So why there is a slow movement of the volcanoes and sometimes the eruption is so loud? It depends upon the silicate content. If your silica content is high in the volcanic material, then it is going to create lot of explosion and it bursts with the sound, right? Because silica has the quality for making bonds with other gases. When silica content is high, it builds the bonds with the other gases and it explodes abruptly. On the other hand, if the silica content is very less, then the abruption is also going to be less. The next thing that we are going to see is earthquakes. Why earthquakes are happening? It is totally because of the seismic activity that takes place inside the earth. Seismic activity is what? Defining the earthquakes in a very layman language is when two layers, see, your earth crust is made up of lot of layers. It is not one particular layer which can be defined. So can we say that there are multiple rocks, there are multiple plates which have been designed in a such way that they are making the part of crust. They are forming actually the crust, which we call it as land crust or oceanic crust. When all of the blocks come together, then these blocks are hinged together. They are not fixed, right? They are hinged together. So if I talk about two plates, so can I say these two plates are hinged together? So anytime plate A and plate B can slide against each other, right? And when they slide against each other, there is the seismic activity which is happening inside the crust. We call this as, and we create what? P and S waves. Now P and S waves are the resultant for the destruction which comes whenever earthquake comes. Okay. Next thing that we are going to do is diastrophism. It is a very slow process. It is a process that you can not even see with your naked eyes. It will be there in front of you, but you won't be able to relate to it. Why? Because you actually cannot see. It's not cannot be felt, right? The process is so slow. For example, if we talk about Mount Everest, it is growing every year. That is a form of a mountain building process. It's a orogenic activity, but we cannot see that. So these are processes which do happen, which do exist, but one cannot see. So this mountain building is example of diastrophism. Okay. Now, if we talk about the exogenetic forces, exogenetic means exo means outside, something which is taking place outside. Now, we define exogenetic processes also into three types: your physical, your chemical, and your biological. Now, who is helping in the exogenetic forces? It is geomorphic agents. We categorize them as geomorphic agents. What are geomorphic agents? Your air, your water, your glacier. These are the forces which are helping in taking one sediment from one place to another place. So this is called geomorphic agents. So when your substance is deposited from one place to another place, we call it as air, water and glacier. These are the geomorphic agents. Now when the agents is deposited from this side to another side, so can we say they play a huge role? in deposition. Physically, if I say that some formation of mountain is there, or for example, in exogenetic forces, there was a heap of sand and particles. For example, the water flow is coming and water is taking away this heap from one place to B place, right? This is what you call it as exogenetic. What is the, see the source always. If the source is outside, then it's exogenetic. Okay. Next, we are going to move towards the chemical. So there are some chemical reactions which happens. For example, calcium carbonate formation, which happens in the rocks, in the caves, right? So when there is a formation of calcium carbonate, what will happen? It will create different type of structures. This is because of the chemical reaction. So we categorize under chemical. Then there is a biological also, exogenetic forces for biological weathering. So when one mammal or one bird or etc., they are carrying away the some of the particles from one place to another place, this is called biological. So this is how we define these processes. Now these kind of processes, your forces are going to have the description in one or another topic. This is not the one topic we are just discussing. It will come multiple times in between. So this is the most fundamental topic when we talk about your geography, your geomorphology. So this is one of the most important fundamental concept which can be asked in your prelims, your mains, as well as in your geography optional, for which we are discussing it. Thank you so much. I hope you understood the important concept. I'll come again with another concept. Till that time, keep on watching my videos, and if you have any doubt, just write to Plutus IS mail website and we'll come back to you. And also, if you really want to join the geography batch, geography optional batch, do contact Plutus IS in that case. Thank you so much.